I want to pick up some comments which have been left on a video that I made about my response to the Manchester trial of the thugs in the Manchester airport. So let's begin with the basic moral axiom that predates common law, canon law, and even Hammurabi's code. Two wrongs don't make a right. This is not a statement of moral laziness or ethical relativism. It's the very foundation of justice. It's the principle that no amount of provocation justifies a disproportionate or an unlawful response, and it's precisely this principle that has been challenged, distorted, or conveniently ignored in the reactions to the recent Manchester airport trial. So let's start with the first comment. You didn't listen to the judge's instruction to the jury. He instructed the jury to disregard PC Zachary Marsden's alleged conduct. The headbutt and the assaults came before the kick. You always try to water down anything to do with bad behaviour by an ethnic minority. Well, there are several things wrong here, and I'll address them as plainly as I can. First, yes, the judge rightly instructed the jury to consider only the evidence relevant to the charges before them, and that's the function of a fair trial. But the public outside the courtroom is not jury-bound by evidentiary exclusion. We're citizens with a duty to uphold justice in the round, and to pretend that a police officer kicking a man in the face after the man was already restrained and the violence had ended is immaterial to the broader context is intellectually dishonest. Second, this is not about ethnicity, it's about accountability. A headbutt is criminal, so is a boot to the face with a man from a man with state authority, a badge and a duty to be calm under pressure. Both are assaults. One may be explained, and if, as one believes, as I do, that the thug's violence is outrageous and reprehensible, one must also believe that the abuse of power from a police officer is no less dangerous, arguably more so, because it stains the justice system itself. Now, as I say, it may be explainable, it may be forgiven, but it causes offence. Historical examples: consider the case of Sir Charles Warren, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner during the 1880s, who resigned after his force's brutal conduct at the Bloody Sunday protests in 1887. The violence used by the police was technically provoked, but history judged them not by the violence of the crowd, but by the trust they broke. The second comment is sympathetic. I think the copper was acting out of anger at seeing a woman PC with those injuries. I don't think he should be prosecuted, but it should go on his record. As for the other two, I hope they get 10 years. This is a more human response. Who among us does not understand the instinct to protect a colleague, especially a blooded and bruised one? But justice is not about instinct, it's about rules. If anger justifies kicking a man in the head while he's restrained, we're on a very dark path. Should we excuse the black and tans who claimed to act in anger after the IRA ambushes and then burned villages in reprisal? The motive may have been grief or fury, but the method was lawless. And that is the danger. When the organs of state acting on emotion, when they start acting on emotion, the distinction between law enforcement and mob justice collapses. The officer should not be demonized, but nor should he be exonerated without consequence. A written warning is not enough. There must be a formal disciplinary process. It must be transparent, not to shame him, but to reassure the public that uniform does not exempt one from ethics. And now to the final and most impassioned comment. Officers must be given the benefit of the doubt. Watching a video with tea and biscuits while officers make snap decisions is shameful. There was no malice. You create ambiguity where there is none. Well, let's be clear. Giving the police complete benefit of the doubt is not a sign of patriotism. It's the beginning of authoritarianism. No democratic society survives if its law enforcers are above the law. And this comment asks us to sympathise with an officer's rapid response. Fine, but watching a man deliver a forceful kick to the face of someone who is already down and detained is not an ambiguous act. It's crystal clear, and clarity in this instance is not shameful, it's necessary. And the claim that this is mere TV commentary betrays a failure to appreciate the seriousness of public trust. The citizen with tea and biscuits is part of the democratic process. We are the jury of the nation, and when a man is convicted for assaulting police and a policeman clearly assaults a man in return, the public is entitled, the public is obliged to ask questions, not to pass judgment. That's not for the public to do. That's for a judge and jury or for a police commission to do. It's not for the public to pass judgment, but it is for the public to ask questions. And no, the presence of danger doesn't absolve misconduct. Would we excuse General Dyer, who ordered the Amritsar massacre, claiming kinetic escalation and snap judgment? That was precisely the logic used. He was confused. He was protecting public order, and hundreds died. That's why we hold police officers to a higher standard, not a lower standard. Not because we hate them, but because we believe in the integrity of their office. The two wrongs principle is not an evasion, it's an anchor. It reminds us that public justice cannot be a seesaw of retribution. Clemency, by all means, reprove the officer and offer him clemency and understanding. But we don't excuse the thug on the street. And we shouldn't ignore the brutality in uniform, even if we understand why it happened. The headbutt and the kick are both wrong. Both deserve scrutiny. Both were broadcast to the nation. Therefore, the nation has a right, a duty to comment on this. And we have. But in a serious country, we cannot sweep these things aside as if we were not watching. And this isn't about choosing sides. I've spoken elsewhere. In fact, I've spoken repeatedly recently about the tribalism on YouTube. There shouldn't be any tribalism here. It's about choosing standards. And when standards fall, history remembers.